Yo, what's up guys, I'm MezogV, and today I'll be reviewing the all-new Jurassic World Hammond Collection Spinosaurus. Yes, the infamous Hammond Collection figure, possibly of all time. So before I get into the whole packaging and everything, I just want to say huge thanks to my friend Let's Unbox Jurassic 93. Go check out his YouTube channel, he makes great videos. Huge thanks to him for sending this guy over. Honestly, as we all know, this is insanely hard to find in stores. Special thanks to him for sending this over so we can go ahead and review it up on the channel. Alright, so looking at the packaging, of course you got a render of the Spinosaurus. Well, I guess this is more of an illustration. Interestingly enough, this is a illustration based on a render, but they changed it to look more accurate to the figure. That's kind of weird, but pretty cool. Above that you have the Jurassic icon, then you got the window with the Spinosaurus figure, and then below you got Jurassic World Hammond Collection Spinosaurus. Oddly enough, they call it Jurassic World instead of Jurassic Park. Usually of the previous Hammond Collection figures, they would always say either Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, depending on which trilogy the dinosaur or figure was from. But with the Spinosaurus, it seems like they stopped doing that now, so interesting. And of course, this isn't just any Hammond Collection figure, this is the all-new True Effects Hammond Collection figure. So looking at the side of the packaging, of course you got Hammond Collection with a continuation of the render or illustration. On the back, or not back, on the other side you got Hammond Collection, a frame from the movie with the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus. I'm glad that they didn't make it the Camp Cretaceous one, it was actually Jurassic Park 3, so that's cool. As you can see, you also got some more text below the image. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause it. Something I do find kind of odd though of this text is that it's all normal. It's like, oh hey, you know, all the spacing is completely normal, but it says like Spinosaurus and Tyrannosaurus Rex battle for domination as Dr. Grant and Spinosaurus long space definitely defeats the Tyrannosaurus Rex and takes the primary predator. It's like, what? I don't get why they have so much spacing here. That's weird. I don't get that. But of course, below all this, you have the Jurassic Park 3 logo. And of course, on the back of the packaging, you have Hammond Collection Spinosaurus with the text again was still with that spacing. I don't know what's up with that. You also got the Jurassic Park 3 logo, some digital renders of the figure showing off different poses, and then of course, you have True Effects premium details for enhanced realism. With some of these figures, I'm not quite for sure about that. I've seen some of these True Effects figures. They're, I don't know if they're really that realistic, but whatever. Let's get into the figure. So of course, you just obviously pull the figure out of the packaging. Okay, I'm going to need to jump cut here. Alright, so of course this figure is gigantic, so it's kind of hard to fit in camera. But of course you have the Spinosaurus in the packaging with the tail, which is separate. Interestingly enough, when you take out the Spinosaurus and the tail, of course, instead of having the yellow amber background, they made it blue. And interestingly enough, something I really like that Mattel did with this packaging is that if you look at the top, they added a protective piece of plastic, so that way the sail of the figure is protected and it won't get scraped up. So that's pretty nice. I mean, when looking at the actual sail, you can actually see that there still is some plastic rubbing on it. Where would it be? Okay, so yeah, it's right here. Yeah, there is some plastic rubbing still happening, but it is nice though that they at least attempted to combat that. Alright, so with the Hammond Collection Spinosaurus out of the packaging, of course, you just go ahead and clip the tail into place, just like that. Pretty easy. And something that's actually really cool that I didn't know about these figures until recently when I found out online you can actually get the tails. You can actually remove the tail without causing any damage. Alright, and here is the Spinosaurus out of the packaging and fully assembled. And bro, this figure is probably one of the best looking Hammond collection figures ever made. It is insane how beautiful this figure is. Now I will admit there should be some changes to the figure. It's not 100% perfect. Like for instance, the sail could have used some more blue coloration because that's what the original maquette had. Also, it should be a little bit more gray. Here they made it brown, which I mean I could understand because I believe one of the maquettes was brown, but the actual finalized animatronic used in the movie was gray. So if you want to be accurate to the actual movie animatronic, they probably should have made this gray. Also, another thing to note is that this head should definitely be a lot more narrow. Even though it looks nice from the side, from the front it's just very, very wide. Alright, so looking at the detailing of the figure, as you can see, the detailing is quite nice. Of course, this figure has the glass eyes, which personally I'm not really too huge a fan of. They only work in one position only. Besides that, just looks soulless. But luckily on this one, it actually turned out pretty good. If you look at the eye, since the pupil or the green eye is really bright green and it contrasts well with the slit pupil, so even from other angles it does a lot better than most Hammond collection figures. But looking at the overall head, of course it uses a red base pigment, and the bottom jaw also uses a red base pigment as well. The paint on it is actually pretty nice. There's a lot more paint than normal. Normally Hammond collection figures or mainline collection figures only have a little bit of paint on the near the eye, but here they painted the bottom jaw and the top jaw. You can see there's actually some airbrushing around the eye. There's some light brown, well not light brown, more like dark brown accent around the back of the head. And on the bottom jaw you also got some brown dotting along the jaw as well. Now something to note about this figure is that due to the jaw being so long, something that actually a lot of people have been reporting is that closing and opening the jaw creates a lot of stress in this area, and a lot of times it actually snaps. So something to be aware of is don't close and open the jaw too much, or else it could easily snap. Alright, moving along down the neck, of course you got a lot more detailing. I love the detailing on this figure. It looks a lot more sharper than the earlier Hammond collection figures. Of course you got that white stripe running down the neck with some red some red airbrushing that goes down to the midsection of the neck. The body of course has that brown pigment plastic with some like light brown dry brushing on the sides, and then of course you got that white stripe that goes all the way down, and then you got some white airbrushing on the back hip area. So as for the sail of the figure, of course it is way bigger than the mainline sails. However, when it comes to accuracy, while it is nice how I got the striping and the patterning on the sail itself, unfortunately it is indeed missing those blue patterning along the ridges. Unfortunately Mattel did not add that, but overall it is still a fairly nice looking paint job. Looking at the arms, unfortunately the arms do not retain any paint. However, the claws are indeed painted and glossed, which is pretty nice. Looking at the legs, as you can see they mainly retain that brown base pigment. However, they do indeed have some dark brown dry brushing and some white paint on top. And of course the feet are a lot more smaller, and they also retain the black paint and the gloss. However, unfortunately the dew claws are not painted, just like every other Jurassic World figure. And then of course, looking at the tail, it mainly retains a brown base pigment. However, it also has red hair brushing. I'm trying to say dry brushing, but no, airbrushing. It has some red dry brushing. I hate myself. It has some red airbrushing that goes along the top all the way back into the tip of the tail. That is the very first time Mattel has actually painted the tip of a tail of a figure. Also, it has some white dry brushing. I swear the paint job is a lot better on this figure than most Mattel figures. It's crazy. So of course this figure is absolutely gigantic. I'm actually having to pose it at an angle to just show it in capture. But if you actually want to compare it to the Hammond Collection T-Rex, for example, this is the very first huge Hammond Collection figure that Mattel has made, and as you can see, it is a improvement. If you look at the head, for example, the neck joints and how they did that is completely different. This is a lot more stiff and a lot more tighter. Ignore that. The T-Rex, on the other hand, is made more of a rubber material, so it's a lot more looser, and it actually tears pretty easily. The T-Rex, interestingly enough, they gave it mid-body articulation, which makes the overall figure look kind of odd and really big and bulky. However, with the Spinosaurus, as you can see, they got rid of that, so that way it's just one big body piece, and honestly it looks a lot better when it comes to the sculpt. Something also to note is that the T-Rex, it actually got 2 tail pieces, or I guess 3. It has this hard plastic midsection, then it got a hard plastic section behind that, then it got the rubber section. So while it does have a metal wire inside it, it doesn't really bend all that much, and it can only get about that much articulation with it due to the huge joints. But with the Spinosaurus, as you can see, the entire tail is just completely rubber and it's all bendy wire. So instead of having those big old joints, you just have one simultaneously long tail. And of course, possibly one of the biggest improvements with this figure is that both the feet are way smaller than the T-Rex feet, but they also got rid of those eyesore knee pad things. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't look right. It's a pain to pose with. It's just ugly. However, as you can see with the new Spinosaurus, they ended up removing that and just gave it the base leg articulation, and honestly it looks so much better. And of course, here is the Spinosaurus compared to a human figure. This thing, it just towers over this human figure. It is crazy. Alright, that was the Jurassic Park 3 True Effects Hammond Collection Spinosaurus figure. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked this video, please leave a like, and if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Also, what do you guys think of this figure in the comments below? I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. Do you like it? Do you not like it? And what would you like to change about it? But besides that, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.